Get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, Oilers Live listeners, it's Michael. I'm your host. Happy to be on after a 6-4 Oilers win tonight. I'm going to try to get Mr. AJ Hafley on tonight. He's one of the guys with BSN Denver, and he covers the Avalanche. Hopefully he'll be able to join in a little bit. So we're going to do some of that. We'll chat, of course, about the game. And as always, we're going to have the ability for you to call in. That's at 587-907-5483. So I'm going to open up the lines. I don't have a guest tonight, so I'm going to open up the lines right away. If you want to call, good time to call as any, and we'll chat about the game. So I watched the whole game myself. I thought it was a great game. I actually thought, whether you agree or not, I thought the Oilers, were outperformed by a really speedy, really fast Colorado Avalanche team. But I'm fine with that. I mean, we're going to have to pull some wins out like that. And I think that's, that's part of being a playoff team. And so for the first time in a long time, we have now moved into a wild card spot. Puts us also 4 points back of first place in the Pacific Division. So that's great news. But as I said, I think probably the biggest deal for me is that the Oilers, they've been showing a little bit of resiliency, right? And we don't always, we haven't always had that. And, it's good to see guys like Nurse stepping up. There's been a lot of, I watch, as some of you do, I think you watch Facebook Live or you watch wherever on Twitter. You watch the Oilers interviews post-game. I always like to read the comments out there and see what folks have to say. Some criticism of Benning tonight. My own personal feeling is, he took a couple of dumb penalties. One of them was, a stick just happened to be in the wrong spot, wrong time. But like the guy's fight. In fact, I'm not against saying it. I used to be pretty critical of Benning, but he's, he's playing some hard hockey and or some heavy hockey, let's say, and I think he's looked decent. Obviously, discipline's big, especially against a team like Colorado. It wouldn't have been a stretch to see them come back, even in a 6-4 game. Rantanen is a beast. I mean, that guy is something else to watch. As a fan of the game, certainly love watching McKinnon and Rantanen, but love watching them lose even more. So I've got Brayley Brooks says, loved Benning tonight too. Whoever the guy on Ched who called in earlier. So I'm not surprised somebody called in on Ched earlier. Benning's going to get a lot of criticism, but at the same time, you got to have guys that are willing to play tough minutes like that. So good on him. I was happy to see that happen. And of course, as I said, I think what a great game by him. Another guy that obviously was Nurse. He stepped in with Clefbaum being out to play on the power play. Power play still looks a little bit shaky, but it's getting a little bit better game after game. Last year I was screaming to give this guy a shot on the power play when it wasn't working. I didn't think he looked out of place on there. And that pass by Nuge for the Nurse goal was outstanding. If AJ calls in, though, I would have to say that it is likely he is going to be fairly upset about the goal that was allowed, Nurse's goal. I think I think if that goal goes against Edmonton, I'm pissed off. So, but I'm not going to complain because, obviously, I mean, we got the win, we got the W, we got the goal, but we don't get a lot of challenges in our favor think we had lost at one point. McClellan lost some over 20 challenges in a row. So if we can get one or two in our favor, I think Hitchcock's 100% so far, winning challenges for and against. So it's great. What else? Let's Nuge. Nuge looked good tonight. I mean, it was great to have him, going and look good with the puck. That penalty kill where he had the chance for the hat trick. I think we were all rooting for him. Everybody a little bit, on at the edge of our seats, hoping he'd score. But all in all, this was a don't let it fool you. 6-4. Koskinen was outstanding. In fact, I was a little disappointed. I know he had 4 against him, but it was 41 shot game. I was a little disappointed the Sportsnet team did not give Koskinen a star. I mean, he made some saves. He made those saves where, the other guys are looking to the skies because they just can't believe that they couldn't make it, right? So Koskinen was great. Team effort all around. One player that I thought maybe we could have seen more of and haven't been happy. I shouldn't say happy, but I think we can see more out of him in the past 2 games was maybe Puljujarvi. I thought, I'd like to see a little bit more out of him, but he's playing, he's playing better every game. He's learning a lot. He seems to be developing well on the big club, which was something that McClellan never wanted to see him do. So I'm happy to have him up there. I commented earlier, if you go on my Twitter feed, earlier today, I did not look at the lines before the game. And I just want to say that is a fantastic feeling. The blender that was Todd McClellan every game, that you had to kind of refresh your Twitter feed and see what Jack Michaels was talking about for practice. See, is Nuge on McDavid's line tonight? Is he not on McDavid's line? Is Puljujarvi in the lineup? Is he not in the lineup? Are we putting Lucic back with McDavid? Let me tell you, it just feels good to be an Oilers fan right now on a good streak. Still lots of work cut out for them. I mean, they're a point. I think it's exactly 1 point ahead of Vegas, which would, Vegas is sitting on the outside looking in now. But we do have a game in hand on them. 17-12-2 and 4 wins in a row. I don't think anybody thought it was possible. On another note, and everybody is, of course, going to be talking about the Oilers game tonight. I just want to do a quick shout out to all of the players and people that came out for the first ever Oilerslive Cup, which we held on Sunday at the Downtown Community Arena in Edmonton. And we had a number of players come out, and what a absolutely great game. Fantastic. You know what? I just can't believe, the type of people we have as Oilers fans. I think we get a bad rap sometimes, because, hey, we're passionate fans. But when it comes down to it, people pitching in, donating to autism. We had our very own at Radistic. He's a big Oilers fan. He's of course got an autistic son named Jude, he was the reason why we chose autism as our charity. And everybody came together, and Brandon and his family and little Jude were able to go to Rogers Place. They came in from Lethbridge. They were able to get out to Rogers Place, watch a game, all sit together. Everybody just came in great. I have got somebody calling in. Let's see who we got. I'm waiting for the screening to come on, but you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to chance this one. Hello, who do we have?
Hey, it's AJ.
Hey, AJ, awesome. Thanks for calling in.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, hey, good to. I haven't talked to you now. I think it was last season, right? I had you on the show.
Yeah, it's been a few minutes.
Yeah. So, hey, for everybody listening tonight, this is AJ Hafley. And AJ is a previous guest, but also more importantly, he's one of the gentlemen. I don't know, editor. What's your title over there at BSN Denver?
I have a bunch of them, man. I'm editor in chief over at BSN Denver. I'm Avs managing editor on the page.
And
So that's really big, the big stuff.
yeah, and I want to, let everybody know that if they, I know we're all a lot of Oilers fans in here tonight, but if you want some good commentary, whatever, I've gone to BSN a number of times. I've listened to your podcast over there. You guys are doing a hell of a job. Good for hockey everywhere, having guys like you part of the league. So thanks for calling in. What's your thoughts? I see you're on the screener there. It says you wanted to talk about this embarrassment. I don't know if you caught the first part of the game, or first part of the show, but my general feeling on the game though was, the Avs played a decent game. I mean, they, a couple of solid opportunities for the Oilers that they put the puck away, but you got a hell of a team there. Like, it's scary how fast they are. But your thoughts overall on the game?
I thought Colorado played pretty well offensively and did a lot of what they wanted, but I thought everything from the back end was just pretty bad. They were atrocious defensively. I thought McDavid did whatever McDavid wanted to do, which, he's always done against Colorado. So it's pretty par for the course for that cat. And there were just long stretches of the game. I thought Hitchcock outcoached Bednar pretty thoroughly at times. He was, especially early in the game, he was getting McDavid and Draisaitl out there against a bunch of Colorado scrubbos, and if Colorado's not going big on big, they're not really equipped to handle anybody else's top line, especially a top line that's got that kind of game. So I didn't like how Bednar managed his matchups early on in the game, when things actually mattered. And I liked Colorado's performance offensively, but I thought defensively, man, they made it too easy for Edmonton. Too many golden scoring chances given up, and the Oilers buried them. And Colorado's atrocious goaltending from the last week has continued. Both guys just letting goals in left and right. They haven't been any good on the back end for a week now, and you chalk it up and you don't worry about it too much from our end. Long term, it's just a bad week, but it's certainly a disappointing effort in front of the home fans, which they just haven't spent very much time in front of this year. And, it's disappointing from Colorado's end, but the fact that they could turn it on at like they did at the very end. And I actually sat in the press box next to Chiarelli. That dude was real nervous at the end of the game. By the way, he's very animated during games.
Oh, yeah? So
yeah, he's very animated. He has a lot to say throughout the entire game.
Oh, yeah. Like, how far away were you from him, roughly, feet-wise?
I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 feet. Only three or four empty seats were all that separated us.
Yeah.
So not far away at all. He'll talk to you too if you try and engage him in conversation during intermission. He's always been willing to chat us up when we're up there when we see him. He's one of the few GMs that actually sits in the press box and not in the GM box that they provide. I don't know why that is, but he's always been that way. So he's a very entertaining guy during games. I can tell you the goaltender interference he thought was going to go against Edmonton. As soon as they put up the replays on the big jumbotron in Pepsi Center, he was convinced that that goal was not going to count. So.
So what's your thought on that?
In his mind, that was
have
a
agreed
big
with him.
break there.
Yeah, I agreed with them. In fact, I said earlier, if that goes against Edmonton, like if Colorado had scored, I would have been pissed. I would have been mad. I thought Draisaitl got in there enough. It was I doubt you watched the Calgary Edmonton game, but Calgary had a very similar type of play where they scored and it went against them. In that case, this one went in our favor. So yeah, what's your general thought? You thought it was interference or a good goal?
That's for me. My personal preference on that is that goal stands because there was a little bit of contact, but I don't think. I mean, it didn't displace the goaltender. It didn't stop him from trying to make a save. There really wasn't enough there for me to really feel like it was goalie interference. The only reason that I thought it might come back and get disallowed was Colorado scored a very, very similar goal last week against Pittsburgh, and they did not allow that goal. They called that goal back, and then tonight against the Oilers, that call goes against the Avs again. And I couldn't really figure out exactly what the difference was in those two goals where there's contact, but the goaltender had just a little bit of time to reset and attempt to make a save. They did not, and in one case it was the fault of interference, and in the other case it was not. And I don't know the difference between those two. And I feel like the lack of transparency on those calls really it makes the process very frustrating. I'm just not sure what the league is doing. Sitting in the press box, I was talking with some of the scouts that were sitting around us, and we all had different opinions. I mean, we're all people who are employed to watch NHL hockey for a living every day, and none of us we couldn't even come close to a consensus on what goaltender interference was or was not. And I think that's more of a league problem than anything else. That's, on a macro level, I think they have a big issue. On a micro level, in terms of tonight, the call didn't really bother me that much. If you're relying on the sixth goal getting called back to be in a game, you have way bigger problems.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you know what? That's a fair statement. And, it was the sixth goal. And I mean, that might have played a little piece of it too. Who knows? I mean, it was definitely a close call either way. As I say, I probably would have been upset if it had gone the other way. But I get it. And sometimes you get those, sometimes you don't. It's to your point. I mean, nobody really agrees as to what goaltender interference is in the league, and it's you're right. It's a problem, and it'll be it's always highlighted when it comes playoff time, but it's regular season. I guess it's not as big a deal if it's not definitely affecting the outcome of the game. Tell us a little bit, while I've got you on, tell us a little bit about Colorado this year. I mean, as a guy, last year I remember talking to you, and at the time, Colorado was a bubble team, right? And going into last year, and we didn't know. I remember the episode quite well. We didn't know where they were headed. Are they, going to make the playoffs? Are they not going to make the playoffs? But they'd of course had some changes at that time. Stastny and or not Stastny. The year prior, Duchesne, right? Or, Jesus, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had talked about how you thought maybe that him leaving might not have been a bad thing for the team. This year, obviously, their top line is the top line. Does that surprise you at all, or is this something you expected going into the season?
Preseason, I said I thought the Avs were probably a 98-point team, but they're, depending on all the little things that go on during a season, if you get a little bit of puck luck or you don't, I thought their variance could go maybe up to about 104 points at the very most, but on the downside, I thought they could be as low as a 90-point team. If injuries really took hold, a lot less than that, of course.
Yeah.
And I think this year I think they're right around that track right now. They've been a better road team than they were last year, and they've had to be because they've played 19 road games so far, and tonight was just their 12th home game. They haven't played more than 2 consecutive home games at all so far this year. So it's been a really weird start to the year for them in terms of trying to find a rhythm at home. You know, they've only won 6 of their 12 home games, and they won 28 games at home last year. So that was really where they were eating greedy. And this year they haven't had a chance to really get in any kind of rhythm on home ice, and I think that's going to be a big key for them over the next 2.5 weeks here, where they finally start getting some home games, and they'll actually get a chance to call Pepsi Center their home arena instead of coming in here for one game, because they're out on the road again in 2 days. So it's the top line, dominant line. If anybody expected Rantanen to be on pace for a 100 assist season, that dude's either a prophet or his drugs are really, really good. And so, to see that it's actually playing out this way, it's just absurd, to be honest with you. So, the top line is great. They carry everything, but there's been some secondary scoring. You don't get to this highest scoring team in the league without having more than just the one line. Yeah. There are some legitimate one-line teams out there. So it's funny when fans get upset and they're like, "Oh, Colorado's a one-line team." And it's like, they're really not, guys. Like, you don't lead the league in scoring because 3 guys do it. But they're a good team. They're fast. They're skilled. You guys saw at the end of the game what we've seen a lot of this year, where when they decide to turn on the Jets and they want to be serious about making a comeback in a game, they'll do it. And I think those final few minutes, man, they were a lot of fun. The Avs definitely could have potted 2 or 3 more there and made that a real interesting one.
Yeah, and the biggest difference between this Oilers team and the one, only a few short weeks ago, right, is that probably would have ended up a tie and then going into overtime. I mean, it's a, they've got something little extra to, keep it. I mean, it was a lot closer than you would have liked, and as you said, I mean, Chiarelli you said he looked a little bit nervous. I'm not surprised. We've got Kale on Periscope says McDavid can still win the Art Ross. You think he's catching Rantanen this year, or do you think Rantanen's going to run away with it?
Believe it or not, man, I don't really pay close attention to that stuff. I don't know what the scoring race looks like now. Rantanen broke 50 tonight. Yeah. I don't know where McDavid is. I know Rantanen just put up a 4-point night on when they weren't playing particularly well, and that's kind of been their season. Is that you feel like, hey, in a game they lose, they're not playing all that well, and everybody has multi-point nights. McDavid's unbelievable. The guy's the best player on the planet. I'm not going to sit here and say he can't win the Art Ross Trophy.
Yeah,
he absolutely can. For me, I don't know that it's a particularly meaningful award. Living through last season and McKinnon's kind of hunt for the Art Ross and the Hart and all of that, it felt very hollow when they lost in the first round of the playoffs, where, its accolades are cool, they're nice, but if your team doesn't do anything, doesn't do any kind of damage in the postseason, and a surprisingly frisky 6-game series against Nashville does not count.
Yep.
Then it's all just hollow. It's all that stuff is for the shelf that you don't care that much about. For me, that stuff it's nice. It's cool. Awards are fun. It's fun to talk about. They're fun to debate about. But if your team isn't winning games, in going to the playoffs and all that, they're just it's nice. It's a really, really nice participation trophy.
So you just like smashed what Oilers fans, the only hope they had every year of having something to cheer about. I mean, that's pretty much all we've had the last few seasons, other than one playoff season, was, the hope that maybe somebody would win the Calder or somebody would win the Art Ross or, McDavid would win the Hart last year. We didn't have much to cheer about. It's certainly a different. It's been a change the last 11 games with Hitch in. Did you? Let's ask you about Hitch. I had Todd from Let's Go Blues Radio on last week, and asked him about Hitchcock. Of course, Hitchcock was in St. Louis before. Were you surprised, or did you have any insight into the Oilers possibly going after Hitchcock?
No, I mean I don't. Edmonton's one of those organizations I'm not particularly well connected with. There are some teams that I know a lot more people and have a lot more knowledge of what's going on in their day to day. Edmonton's not really one of them. To me, they're a total mystery. I never really know what they're up to or what they're trying to accomplish. A lot of their moves kind of catch me off guard. It feels like they make a lot of deals that slowly downgrade their roster. I don't really know what the Oilers are really ever up to. And but when you have a guy like McDavid and even Draisaitl, and I've always been a big Clefbaum fan, so when he's rocking and rolling, there's enough talent on that team that I think they Hitchcock for a 1 year, let's just see how this goes kind of season. Hitchcock's always kind of been a turnaround master where he can get a season or two out of a team before he starts to grate on players' nerves. And he showed in St. Louis. Millennials and Hitchcock don't really get along. So I don't think there's a long-term future for Hitchcock anywhere in the NHL anymore, at least as a head coach. But I'm not, in the situation he's in right now, where it's just like, hey, coach out the rest of this year. I don't think Edmonton could have done much better than Hitchcock for this particular situation. But I don't know how it'll be long term. A lot of teams get that new coach bump. We've seen a couple of the teams this year have fired coaches and it hasn't gotten any better. That's more of an indictment on a GM than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Because most teams get that bump when the guy comes in. 10 games doesn't mean a whole lot to me. For when you're talking about a new coach, the first 10 games usually go pretty well for guys. But Hitchcock's successful enough that that 10 games could turn into 60 good games in a real hurry, especially with some of the talent on hand.
Yeah, so this is I think the second time he's come into a team mid-season and had 7 of the first 10, I think was the stat that I saw. He's, I tend to, the one thing is I was particularly critical of McClellan, last season and into this season. So, I'm not even sure it's Hitchcock. I just think it's somebody else that, what you saw today was a team that has had more or less the same lineup since Hitch has been in day after day. And, guys are starting to gel a little bit. He rewarded Lucic tonight, which, there's not much, hasn't been much to reward Lucic with over the past, couple seasons, but he rewarded Lucic and put him with Nuge for a bit, and of course Lucic got the assist on the second Nuge goal. He seems to be doing the right things for players right now, which guys seem to be getting a little bit of confidence under him, and like tonight's no different. And of course, somebody asked Koskinen after the game if he's playing better because of Hitchcock. Of course, he said he doesn't. That doesn't have much to do with it. But I think if you got defensemen playing the right positions, as a goalie, you can feel safe playing your own position. You're not, trying to do too much. And, Koskinen's a great positional goalie. He's also a big goalie. What do you think of his play tonight? I mean, my personal feeling was it could have been, could have easily been a, 7-6 Avs game if not for Koskinen. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Koskinen was a beast, man. I thought the first goal that beat him caught me by surprise because it looked so harmless. And I said this on my own show tonight that I thought live in the arena I could have sworn I heard it hit something, but I haven't got to see a replay of it, so I don't know. I don't know if it actually did deflect off something, but regardless, I thought Koskinen was awesome tonight and has lived up to all the hype he's built up over the last couple of weeks, and he was great. He was great tonight, and it's not often that you look at a guy who gives up 4 goals and say he was the difference in the game, but he easily was. That stop he made on Tyson Jost is going to haunt Jost for weeks.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking to the heavens after that one, no doubt. I completely agree. I thought, and in fact, I said it earlier, I think Koskinen could have easily been one of the 3 stars in the game. He was just that good. Just positionally, he's so strong, and he's such a big guy. He's kind of when you see Varlamov play a big game and a good game. Tonight's maybe a bad example. I think the two of them play a very similar game. Big guys and positionally usually quite good. You said Varlamov's been playing, had a couple rough games in a row. You think? Is this something you're concerned about, or the Avs? Are they going to continue on where they're at? I mean, I think, as you said, I think they're a multi-line team. I think they're definitely one of the contenders. We talked about this last year. The Central Division, though, is so incredible. Nashville, Winnipeg, Colorado. 3 of them, any given night could win a game. But your thoughts on the goaltending?
Yeah, I think this is who Varley is, man. He'll go through stretches. He'll give you a month of exceptional play, and then he'll give you 10 days where he just gets absolutely annihilated. And this is the second such stretch that he's done that this year. He's given up 14 goals in the last 3 games. Would have been a lot more than that had he not gotten mercifully pulled tonight. So Bednar did him a big favor. I doubt he gets the start on Friday in St. Louis, but I think he's fine ultimately. He works his way through these really rough patches, and when he's not a guy that comes off the mountain of putting up a string of 950+ nights and gives up 3 goals. He's a guy that gives up 7 goals at a time. So this is just who he is. I'm not that worried about it. It sucks while it's happening, but when it's over, you know that you're going to get 3 weeks of exceptional play out of the guy.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about it too much. You just try, you ride it out. So.
Yeah.
It's cold here.
Oh, it's cold in Denver?
Yeah, it's like 10 degrees outside right now.
And you're talking Fahrenheit. Oh, man, that is freaking cold.
Yeah, not Celsius.
Yeah, not Celsius. 10 degrees, I'd be outside in my shorts. You got 5 minutes, or if maybe somebody wants to call in, 587-907-5483 if you got a question, or ask on Periscope or YouTube or Facebook. Ask AJ a question about the Avs team this year. I don't get them on too often, but if you have any questions, would love to take them. Be quick though, because I think he's freezing. You're outside somewhere, obviously. Maybe trying not to wake the family. Who knows? but do appreciate you calling in. I know your job is the sport and being there and writing about it. So to have you on tonight after the game, I just want to say thank you. It's always good to chat with you and interact with you on Twitter. for those of you that don't follow AJ, you can follow him on Twitter at AJ HAEFELE. It's AJ Hafley. And as I said, he writes and is the editor for BSN Denver. And BSN Denver, they just go by BSN at BSN Denver? Is that, or is it BSN Avs or something like that, I think, right?
We have a bunch of team accounts.
Yeah.
We have a BSN Avalanche account. We have BSN Broncos, Nuggets, Rockies, all that stuff. So.
And are you doing writing for all of the teams, or mainly just the Avalanche?
I do. I focus on hockey, but I chip in. I do a little bit of Rockies here. I do a little bit of Broncos there as well because I keep tabs on all the sports. So I'm not cool enough to do NBA writing. I don't have the personality for it. I'm not nearly hip enough.
Yeah.
So I don't swim in those waters. But the other ones, I'm just nerdy enough to be allowed to contribute. So.
Yeah, no, well, that's fine. I've tried to watch a basketball game, but I just can't get into it. I don't know. I've been to. I was at Dallas, at Cowboys Stadium for Sweet 16. The atmosphere was fantastic, but the game itself. I mean, I just can't really. Going down. Of course, tonight's game was not unlike a basketball game going into the final 2 minutes. Well, you know what, AJ? It looks like there's not going to be any Avs questions tonight. That's fine. It's primarily an Oilers show, but I want to thank you for making the call in. And one of these days we'll have to record another podcast. I guess we don't play again until April, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a little.
Well, I always appreciate coming on and talking Avs and Oilers, and Edmonton's one of those teams that I like to keep an eye on because McDavid. So I'll I enjoy the show, man. I listen to it every so often when I have my nights off. So keep up the great work, buddy, and thanks for having me on tonight.
Awesome.
I'm gonna jet because I gotta go.
Go warm up.
I got to go take care of life stuff now.
All right. Okay. Thanks again, AJ. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. I'll see you.
Yep. Bye. So that was AJ Hafley freezing his ass off in Denver right now. And somewhat, critical of the Avs team tonight from a defensive standpoint. Which I understand. I mean, any game you give away 6 goals, right? You can't be happy with that. The crazy thing for us as Oilers fans is we've seen this, way too many times, right? But we've been on the other end. Very, very disturbing trend that we had for 11, 12 years, right? Minus 1 year. So it's good. It's good to see it go the other way for a change. And while, AJ says, it's been we've got a new coach and you expect different things. I think this is the team, right? I think that we've got a legit shot at the playoffs this year. I said that earlier on. I think we've got the squad to do it. Tonight was nice. It's nice 2 of the last 3 games to get some offense. And also, nice to get some defense. Maybe not in the end of this game, but it was still good overall to have defense in the past couple of games. Got another caller in. Again, the screener doesn't work, but let's take a chance. Hello, welcome to Oilers Live.
Your screener's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, she's got a pretty voice. Yeah.
Sounds like RoboCop, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure it's like RoboCop. This for those of you that don't know, this was my co-host for the Oilers Live Cup. I can tell by the voice. What was I calling you that time? Mary. The screener.
Yeah,
screener read it as Mary once. But Mike, I've got Mike Durson, and Mike was our co-host for the Oilerslive Cup and captain of Team Mega Thread. First off, Mike, what's your opinion of the Oilerslive Cup, and is it something you want to be a part of next year?
Oh, Mike, that was such a good weekend. The whole weekend was great, and combining that with the Battle of Alberta was genius on your behalf. Yeah, I guess I underestimated the talent level of Oilers Twitter and those that decided to take part, because the pace of that game was about 2 notches up from what I thought it would be. Some pretty decent players come out, and yeah, it was definitely a fun day, and organizing that sort of meet and greet, supper and adult beverages after at the Hat, and then having that set up for us was special too. It was just a great weekend and a great time, and yeah, I'm definitely down for doing that again. And I didn't hear one person in my dressing room say that they wouldn't want to do it again. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It did turn out really well. We won't talk too much more about it. We'll talk more about the Oilers and the direction they're going. But one thing I did neglect to say earlier was the Hat on Jasper. They were excellent hosts for us for the after party. They opened up on a Sunday, a day they don't normally open. The owners came in and served us on their own. I think the whole family was there cooking and waiting tables, and they were great and shaking hands and just the friendliest of folks. It's Mike at the Hat on Jasper, and if anybody out there has a chance, please go support these guys. It's the old Silk Hat, actually, on Jasper, which happens to be the place I didn't realize till I was there, the place I had my very first ever date. Obviously, it didn't go well. I don't even remember who it was. I just remember that's the place. But the Hat was great. Yeah. So, Mike, I know you were out today. What was it? Basketball game today?
Yeah.
I was just trashing basketball. Yeah. What's your thoughts? I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, and I know you don't care, but we got to talk about it a little bit. Ference goes on air and says, he says the Oilers are out partying all night. I know you haven't listened to the 31 Thoughts podcast with Elliot, but does it matter? Does any of this really matter, or is this a completely different team and big deal? What's your overall thought on the Ference thing?
Yeah, I know what was said. I've seen that, and kind of from my point of view is, I mean, this is I guess Andrew Ference taking a shot at some of the players that he played with when he came over from Boston. And I mean, Tyler Seguin got shipped out of Boston for similar reasons. I think guys come into the NHL that are, basically high-profile players, basic stars in the league, or supposed to end up being stars. So they're that high-profile athlete. They get signed to big contracts. And my personal feeling on this is that sometimes professional athletes are athletes first, but need to learn the professionalism part of being a professional athlete. And I think that's a learning curve and a process that some guys need to go through. And, guys like Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, if those are the guys we're pointing fingers at, maybe needed to mature. But from where I come from, I think Andrew Ference airing this dirty laundry about this is not becoming of somebody that was supposed to be a captain. To me, you deal with that internally. and you deal with it. It obviously never got dealt with, and it from what I'm getting out of this, it festered, and then other people have to step in and make decisions for the direction of the team. Personally, I don't think this cuts anybody in the organization any slack, and to me, it's not really a black eye on anybody in particular other than Andrew Ference. Some people want to pass the puck over to management and coaching and all of that and blame other people for what was going on. Well, to me, the people that really need to take ownership of what did or did not happen are the people that were directly involved, but also the captain of the team. You're supposed to be the leader, and to me, it's almost like a mutiny if you've got the captain of your team airing this kind of stuff. It goes against the team concept. You deal with that internally. That's kind of where I come from.
Yeah, you know what? We're not going to take a lot of time on this, but I couldn't agree more with you. Although to be fair, I could care less what Andrew Ference says now. A couple of years later, after the fact, I did have a chance to listen to a little bit of it, and you know what? Big deal. Most of those guys are gone, and maybe it lends some credence to some of the stuff we heard at the time. I don't know. And frankly, don't care. I mean, this is now we're 8-2-1 in the Hitchcock era, and going forward, and this is. I think you're right, though. I think the interesting thing is why now, and Braley Brook just says on Periscope here. He said then Nuge is put into an awkward position with the media, and you know what? She's right. This is, I just can't see Nuge being one of those guys, right? Like the guy just seems like a class guy. And now you've kind of just put him into a spot where, he's left answering questions, but he's the only guy really, right? From the superstar that's from that era. I do wonder, right? If, you look at a team that's built on first-round draft picks, right? And who's surprised, right? Like these guys are stars from the moment they get into the league. I'm not gonna, I wouldn't sugarcoat it. If I'm 18 and I'm making $1 million a year, hell yeah, I'm gonna be out till 3 a.m. partying. Now, Nuge isn't 18 anymore. Taylor Hall, for that matter, is not 18 anymore. These guys have grown up. We've watched them grow up. Glenn Moss says it doesn't matter anymore. Those players have matured and moved on. Glenn's right? That's just the way and the nature of, being a kid. I always look and I think we forget, right? Like Connor's only 21 years old now, or is he 22 now? Here's sorry, I gotta look at Burju Shaw says, I would say this was more of an indictment on the captain and leadership rather than the young guns, and maybe it says more about Ference than it does about the other guys. Anyway, let's move on from that. Your thoughts? I know you didn't get a chance to watch the game tonight. Actually, quite an exciting game. I talked to you earlier today. I said Braley's says 22 in January for Connor. I thought that Colorado, first off, has an outstanding team. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to AJ Hafley, but they just, they've got a couple of lines that can burn you. Wilson on the power play is great. I've watched a few Colorado games, and they play. They're consistent offensively across the board. They're fast. These are the kind of wins we need. What's your thought on Hitchcock in general? If you can make some observations on him. Is this a flash in the pan, or are we just looking at the results of a coach, new coach, or is this what we're going to see the rest of the year?
Well, I think right now we're definitely riding a heater. The thing with Hitch is he's such a positive guy. Like, it must have got exhausting. Like, I know as a fan, just listening to McClellan before, it was the same kind of mundane post-game show, before a game. There wasn't no change in tone in his voice. So, I mean, as a fan, I know I was tuning him out. You listen to guys like Gregor and Struds and Rashog, and they defend McClellan. They say he didn't lose the room. Well, he might not have lost. Like, people might have still been listening to him, but they didn't really respond to the message. There was no response. I think guys are responding to Hitchcock, and he's made some, I think, really good roster moves by putting people, like, thinking outside the box. No armchair GM thought about putting Lucic with Cassian and Brodziak. We suggested everything under the sun, but nobody came up with that. And that's turned into a pretty effective line. Yeah, they're not scoring a lot, but they put a lot of pressure on other teams. They keep the puck in the offensive zone. So, I mean, that's effective hockey. If the other team doesn't have the puck, they can't score.
Yeah, and so true, right? And defensively, they've played a game like they've never played in a number of years. Glenn Moss says, "I love how Hitchcock knows how to use a timeout. It seems like a little thing, but that timeout in the game on Sunday, that could have been the difference. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're putting too much emphasis on it, but." It seemed to me like the right time and right place.
You'd never see McClellan take a timeout unless it was the last minute of the game.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it's just been different in every which way. I can't get over, and I keep talking about it, but I love how we've seen the same lines night after night. Right, and guys are finally getting to build some chemistry. You remember at the end of the season, I wish I had the actual quote, but McDavid mentioned that he never played with anybody for long enough to really know, and some people caught it and some people didn't. But at the end of the day, I thought it was to say. Right, like this is absolutely, a team that needs a different coach. This is a team that needs somebody who understands the players, that can take them to that next level. That also understands, right, that there's a lot of young guys on this team, right? They made the top TSN core under 24, right? It tells you how young, the core is on this team, and they need a guy that's going to help them develop and mature. We're just talking about that with Ferentz, right? This is you need a guy like Hitch. He's it's nice listening to him, right? Like he always talks well. And when he says something that, is constructive, it doesn't come off as being like an asshole type of comment, right? If I was playing for the guy, I'd have a ton of respect for how he treats the team and the media.
He's eloquent speaker for sure.
Yeah. Is he going to stay on another season, or you think he's gone?
Well, personally, I think that depends on their success. It depends how far this goes, right? If they're not a playoff team, no, he's not around anymore, and things implode. I kind of personally feel if this team doesn't go a few rounds, Chiarelli's done. And if Chiarelli's done, does a new GM want the same coach? I'm not sure. So
yeah, well,
that's kind of going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, and there's still lots of season left, right? I mean, we're 51 games away from end of the season. We're a hell of a lot better position than I think a lot of us thought we would be. There's a number of people, myself included, who thought it's possible the season's a bit of a write-off. I mean, we stuck in there to get to this point, and it's close right now, right? I mean, there's a lot of, we're one of 3 or 4 hot teams in the West right now. Calgary, right, is one of them. I don't, and there's that Central Division is outstanding, right? There's Minnesota can be there, Dallas could be there. Vegas is starting to show some of what they had last year. It is a bit refreshing. I mean, Braley says Hitch stays. Chia lives, I think, is what is what I get from that. It's a couple of emojis after it, but
survives another day.
Yeah, survives another day. I think that probably the best thing to come out of this, though, is I don't have to watch Twitter and the fire Chiarelli comments, every second tweet. And I'm fine if you don't like Chiarelli, and AJ, when he was on, he mentioned exactly that. Chiarelli's made some trades that you might look at and say this team got worse because of that trade. Hey, he's not off the hook, right? We all know the salary cap concerns. We know all of that. He's done, though, some good things. Done some good things with the prospects and prospect pool, which I think people don't give him enough credit for.
Everybody
made
that likes
trades.
to bash. I haven't. Everybody that likes to bash him and run him over for everything that he's ever done, they kind of stop at the Koskinen signing.
Kale comes in with the fire Chiarelli, by the way, on Periscope. Damn it. Damn it, I shouldn't have said anything. They're out now. They're out in full force. Let's switch gears for a second. I don't know if you heard, Clefbaum is out for a few weeks.
Yeah, what's the injury?
It looks like he might have broke his hand. He stopped a shot, right on the stick and the hand at the same time. He stayed out for a little bit, but I think that it's it's either broken or it's it's got to be broken. I mean, the glove's not going to protect you from much an NHL caliber slap shot. Who do you bring in? This leads into another thing, which is everybody that's on there. Gravel has been also a Hitchcock signing. I think he's been awesome for a guy that is a 7th D-man. I've really liked Gravel's game. But who slots back in?
Yeah, well, there's his prognosis, I guess, if we're talking a broken hand, is probably 4 to 6 weeks. I think Gravel's our number 5 D-man myself. I really liked his game on Sunday, and he's got some size to him, and there's a bit of a presence there. I don't mind him at all. Him and Benning seem to be a decent pairing. I think you probably go back to what happened a little bit last year when they ran Nurse and Larson together, and then was it Russell and who's the other guy? Yeah, you're gonna have to do something there.
We've got Nurse, Garrison.
I don't. I just don't think Garrison's. I don't think that works. He's a good 7th guy in case something else happens. But I would probably think about calling up Ethan Bear or Caleb Jones.
Yeah, I'd love to know if you're listening or you're on Periscope or YouTube or Twitter or wherever you're at and you're in right now. Who would you put in as our defenseman to cover for Clefbaum? How'd you feel about Nurse filling in on the power play? I think Nurse had a combined 2 minutes under McClellan on the power play, and he got as much power play time tonight as he's had in the last two seasons. So who does everybody think is should be slotted in? What reason? Obviously, there's a couple of young guys, and you know what? Hitchcock has no problem bringing the young guys up and developing them into a NHL caliber player. I shouldn't say that, but because there's some history that says otherwise, I guess. But Kale says, see how Jones does. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Jones up. It's what I'm excited about. To Kale's point, is seeing Jones, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves. But Jones and Bouchard again. Those two were awesome together.
Too bad you couldn't call that kid in London up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be all right to slot him in for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Hey, we're not far away from the World Juniors now, so that's we're gonna get to see some Bouchard play. I'm pretty excited about that. You call in 587-907-5483. It's just after midnight. Probably stay online for another 10 minutes, but would love to hear who you think is going to be the call up. Is Garrison done on this team, you think? Is he? I haven't really, since Hitch has been in, I have paid less attention to the roster than I've ever spent on this team. And, I keep going back to that, but I used to daily look to see who's in, who's out, and complain night after night. But I totally forgot about Weidman. Glenn Ma brings up Jones or Bear. Doesn't like what he's seen of Weidman. He should become an Uber driver, possibly.
Yeah.
He might be. There's no doubt he's not taking a ride in one anymore. But
you want my honest opinion on Garrison?
Yeah.
Eric Greiba 2.0, but I think Greiba had actually a little bit more upside.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Garrison's a hell of a guy. Anytime you've heard him interview, anything like that, he seems like the kind of guy you want in a locker room. But I think that's where it ends. He just doesn't have the foot speed to keep up to today's game. I think he put him in a game like tonight, and that changes the outlook completely. He's it just doesn't have the game. But I haven't. I need to. Obviously, I'm not doing my job as a podcaster. I haven't been paying enough attention to the roster. I don't even know, is he in the lineup, or did they send him down? He must be.
Garrison?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he's still here. He hasn't been sent down, no.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. I guess he'd probably, at his age, he'd probably have to clear waivers, right, if they sent him down? Not that anybody would be picking him up. I like Glenn Ma's comment, Jones or Bear. I'd like to see one of them. Totally forgot about Weidman. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing more of Weidman, though. I think I've watched him play when he was in Ottawa. He's been he was decent. He had some really good nights. I was a little bit surprised. I mean, obviously the Uber thing had more to play than they thought. He probably wasn't getting along well with the coach before and or after. We do have a call in. Awesome. All right, Tanya. All right, Tanya.
Hi,
welcome to Oilers Live. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm just calling because I just want to say you guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
It was a great time. I honestly didn't make the actual hockey game because I got lost because I'm a country girl.
No.
I got lost in the big city.
Yeah.
But I was at the after party.
Yeah, I saw you there.
Yeah, no, you guys did great. And, like, I've seen all the feedback and everything. Like, is this something you guys are going to do every year? Because if you are, that's awesome. And if you are, then I'll buy a map.
Awesome. Or you know what? I learned a lot about doing the event. And just as an update, I think we've raised, close to $2,000 now for Chinook Autism Society, which
That's amazing.
yeah, and that means at least 20 weighted blankets for families in need. Just absolutely terrific. Everybody coming together. It goes by Chris. He donated $300 to
Yeah,
Chinook
that was
Autism
amazing.
Society.
I seen that, and he said which each $100 was going to. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and we. I think what impressed me the most is I said it earlier is we get a lot of flack for being Oilers fans sometimes for how passionate we are about the team. But wow, people really came through, and I met everybody I met, absolutely amazing. I don't think I met anybody that I wouldn't go hang out with any given night, and the hockey was surprisingly good.
My favorite part was how many people came together for Brandon and his wife and their little guy Jude.
Oh yeah, yeah, cute little guy
that
too.
That was like my favorite. That was my favorite.
Yeah, no, real cute kid too. Glenn Ma, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in as usual. And next time, Glenn, when we may do this in Calgary in I want to say April. I actually got tickets for the Battle of Alberta here as well, and I'll be back in Edmonton for the January game, Battle of Alberta, for sure. I don't miss that one. I might miss some of the others in between, but Tanya, thanks for calling in. Love hearing positive.
It was great. It was great meeting you. It was great seeing you guys, and it's great hearing you guys. I just like to come on and say, like, woohoo, raha.
Right on.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
Bye.
So there you have it. Oh, wow. By the way, Tanya, I didn't ban you, but I just realized I have an option where I can ban the caller when I go to drop them from the from the stream. It gives me a ban caller option. I wonder this Dursa number here. So it might be your last time calling in. You know what? I think we're gonna shut things down. Been on for just over an hour. Had AJ Hayfley on again. Special thanks to him. He did a great job, and I can't say enough about BSN Denver. We had Let's Go Blues Radio on last time. What I appreciate the most, and is I did an Instagram post about this. If you go to Instagram at Oilerslive, there's so much around hockey in my life. The podcast. I play 5-6 times a week. I do all these tournaments, and any time that we get a chance to make something good happen, like having Brandon and his family and little Jude, get out to a hockey game, and they got their little daughter Melody. She was really cute too. We get out to Rogers for the first time, and you see the pictures of them in front of the Gretzky statue, and I guess they even were able to catch a T-shirt. But the overall point is my life is so hockey focused that when there's good things happen because of it. I'm pretty excited about that. And then the other thing is to see guys like AJ and I called him Todd earlier, but Jeff Ponder from Let's Go Blues Radio. I see those guys growing the game in other cities like St. Louis and Denver, and Denver's a good hockey city. Don't get me wrong, but we need guys like those that are good hockey fans and into the game to make it fun, and it also helps for when we go traveling that we got a good place to go watch hockey. And next podcast we need to talk about Seattle joining the league. I haven't done any of that yet. Mike, any final thoughts before we say goodnight?
Thanks again for that weekend. And the one thing that sometimes life has an interesting way of throwing things at you. My Max, it was his first game too at Rogers, and he forgot his sweater at his seat after the game, and we were almost halfway around the rink, and he's like, Dad, can we go back and get my sweater? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, Max. Yeah, we're not going to leave it here. So we walked back to our section, and he went down and looked for a little bit, and then he found his sweater, and this usher lady wanted to talk to him for a minute and ask him how he liked the game. So our section was 122, and behind there's a bar there. So I was rested up against the bar while he was talking to the usher lady, and I could see him, so he was okay. And walking by me is Bob Cole.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you met Bob Cole.
Yeah, he's slight and he's frail. So I said, "Hey, Bob," and he didn't really hear me, so I had to call his name 2 more times, and then he sort of turned around, and I just went up to him, and I didn't really say anything because he kind of looked like he was sort of deer in the headlights. So I just shook his hand, and then Max kind of went and shook his hand too. And so that sort of happened. And then we were walking out the rink, and I parked all day kind of behind the community rink. And so we're going towards the LRT exit of Rogers, and walking by me is Brandon and his missus and the two kids, and so somebody told them the wrong way to get out of the rink, and I kind of showed them how to get out. But it was interesting Max's little mistake led to meeting some more people. So.
It was a
great
weekend. Fantastic weekend. And meeting Bob Cole would have been awesome. I mean, everybody that's been around the game has heard Bob's voice, and that was pretty special. And also, to have the Oilers beat Calgary 1-0, kind of, it was actually kind of nice to have a 1-0 game, like a shutout. So I brought, and I'm trying to close this down, but I brought a Flames fan to the game, a buddy of mine, and I actually sat in between two Flames fans and the people in my section. So I want to say this because I saw it was on Twitter, somebody, or Facebook or somewhere, somebody talking about fans being rude and, to Flames fans, and it being a disgrace. And of course it was, what I saw was a clip of a Flames fan saying that about Oilers fans. But I can tell you that my buddy that Braley says, "You did what?" Yeah, I brought a Flames fan to the game. They had to have some showing there. Anyway, I can tell you that the people, at least in our section in 204, we had a great time. We were all, the chirps, the regular chirps. We were all, chanting "Turtle" when Kachuk got the puck or whatever, and the Flames fans were chanting "First in the West," but we were all laughing and all having a good time, and that's what that's what I saw. So I don't care what a couple people saw. There's going to be a couple bad apples in every group. For the most part, everybody was really well behaved and had a really fun time, and it was good. I love the rivalry. I love the Battle of Alberta. I never ask Flames fans to cheer for the Oilers, and I think that it's great for hockey. I never miss a Battle of Alberta game. It's fun. If you're ever at a game, reach out to me on Twitter. I'm in section 204. I'd love to meet everybody that's out there. That is it. I know there are a couple things I wanted to say, but I'll leave them for next time. I've got some guests planned. I haven't done a recorded podcast in a while, so I will have a heavy hockey podcast out soon. Special thanks. Just want to say some special thanks before I go for the night. Special thanks to everybody that showed up for the Oilerslive Cup. A couple of real standouts that were there. Ben Curry, guy with a big heart. He really helped out, donations, etc. The rinks at _ the rinks. He's doing rinks around the league on YouTube. He helped out getting, us a goalie. The Puck app. This is a rent a goalie app. These guys came through and donated a goalie for the game. Yourself, Mike, so much thanks to you for helping be there right from day one when I thought that I should do a shinny game. Thanks to Brandon and his wife and the whole family, little Jude, for being there. Seeing Jude smile when he got out onto the ice for the team picture was fantastic, and I wish I'd seen them at the game. I can't thank you to Tanya for being there and just being one of those happy people that is really supportive. I don't know who else to thank, but everybody have a great night. I'll be back live next week. I don't know which game yet, but I'll definitely be here. Mike, you have a great night. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. Enough, everybody. Good night.